Hi, I'm Miranda Cosgrove, and this is Mission Unstoppable. Coming up, it's a special delivery to space.
Our team is going to be sending a spacecraft to an asteroid to see if we can redirect its current orbit.
See how engineers launch objects into orbit. Then, discover the incredible ways birds build their nests.
I mean, look at this.
And these aren't your grandma's bananas, literally. Even with all of modern science, we might be facing another banana blight. I spill the STEM tea on what we're eating. Then, if you've got a brain, you'll want to see this.
Here's the neurons.
What? Get ready to meet the scientists, inventors, and heroes who help make our world a better place. The future is here. The mission, unstoppable. When we send a rocket into space, we're normally not just doing it for funsies. We're sending up payloads of equipment, satellites, even people. So it's important to get it right. That's why we sent Nabeel to learn more.
3, 2, 1, 0.
Rocket launches don't just look cool, they also serve a very important function, getting payloads into space. But what makes these payloads worth all that effort and expense? To find out, I'm talking to Joan Melendez Misner, an integration engineer at NASA.
I love sending rockets to space. I love being able to physically work on space hardware, knowing that it's going to collide with an asteroid or it's going to another world to see if we can find life. Seeing rockets launch in my backyard, growing up in Orlando, Florida, being able now to be part of that and move forward into our new space age is extremely exciting.
Today, I'm meeting with Joan in California, and she's gonna teach me how payloads are key to exploring space and maybe even saving the world. What is a payload?
A payload is anything that we send to space.
So if you and I were flying in a spacecraft, we would actually be the payload.
Astronauts can definitely be payloads. Me personally, I work on scientific payloads, so it could be anywhere from satellites to rovers or even spacecrafts.
So why is it important to have payloads out in space?
We have rovers and spacecraft that explore other planets. We also have astronauts that go into the International Space Station to perform specific science experiments to help us here on Earth. One of our main jobs as an integration engineer is to ensure that that payload is released successfully from the actual rocket. Because if it's not released, then that mission just completely fails.
I feel like there's so many different factors you have to take into account before sending a payload into space.
We're going against gravity whenever we're launching rockets. So you have to consider the weight. We also look for vibrations and loads.
So what kind of missions have you worked on?
The coolest mission that I have coming up is DART.
DART?
DART stands for the Double Asteroid Redirection Test. It's NASA's very first planetary defense mission. And our team is going to be sending a spacecraft to an asteroid, and we are going to attempt to collide with it to see if we can redirect its current orbit.
Is there an asteroid heading towards Earth?
There's no asteroids headed our way currently, so you can breathe. This specific asteroid system is nowhere near our planet or headed our way. Inside of DART, we have a CubeSat that's going to be actually taking pictures and taking videos of the DART spacecraft crashing into the asteroid.
What would be the payload in this situation?
The payload would actually be the spacecraft, which is the size of a vending machine. We put that on top of the fairing, and it goes on a two-stage rocket. That rocket launches it into space, the fairing opens up, the DART spacecraft detaches from the adapter, and it's headed to a double asteroid system called Didymos. And Didymos is the size of the Washington Monument. However, we are going to be crashing into its moon, which is the size of a football field. And what we're trying to do is nudge it slightly to change its current orbit.
Now that I know the basics, Joan's gonna help me launch my own payload using some old 2-liter bottles. We're building a single-stage rocket using a kit. We start with some fins, and then we attach a nozzle.
Once we fill the 2-liter bottle with water and we pressurize it with air, it's going to be Newton's third law. So for every action, there's an opposite and reaction, and therefore that is going to simulate our thrust.
Next, we attach the bottle to the fins. Now it's time to pick a payload. I think I'm gonna go with the egg.
That is an excellent choice.
See what you did there.
I'm glad that you caught
That
it.
was very good. To keep her safe, we're putting our little extronaut inside a fairing with a parachute before lacing it on the rocket. Now we're ready to put on our flight suits and head for the launch pad. We should probably actually...
We need to
we
launch
have so
rockets.
much
Okay,
stuff to
let's
do.
go.
We place the rocket. All the best, little extronaut.
Bye, astronaut.
Add air pressure with the pump and prepare to launch.
3, 2, 1, go.
The launch was a success. But did our capsule work?
Our astronaut made it safely back on the planet.
Wow, look at the little guy.
We try again with a heavier payload.
Ooh, maybe this time we can do the Mars rover.
I love it.
3, 2, 1.
This one doesn't get as high, and the parachute doesn't deploy properly, which is bad news for our rover.
Next time, we need to check for how the payload is actually packed inside. We need to account for weight whenever we launch any kind of rocket.
We try again with an even heavier camera payload, packing our fairing more carefully this time.
We made sure we learned from our mistakes and packed the parachute a little better this time.
We did, and that's what a perfect engineer does.
With our mission complete, it's time to go home.
Well, thank you so much for building rockets with me and teaching me about payloads.
Thank you so much for being an amazing student. Now, whenever you watch launches, you'll have a better understanding and more of an appreciation of the science that goes behind it.
In my dressing room between takes, I like to check in with our experts. So I asked Joan what she's been up to since we last filmed. Check it out.
Hey, Miranda. Since we filmed last, I've actually been able to launch several satellites into space, including one specific one from New Zealand. This one was a small satellite, which is also called a CubeSat, and it's about the size of a loaf of bread. And it's currently collecting data on humidity, temperature, and precipitation. Weather satellites typically collect data every 6 to 12 hours. But these small little CubeSats are able to collect the data every hour. The reason why it is important is because we want to make sure that people who are experiencing extreme weather have the most up-to-date data for them to understand what's going on around them. But the day of launch itself, it was clear skies and people all across New Zealand were able to watch the launch. Well, thanks for checking in. I've got to run because I have a couple of satellites that are ready to launch and, well, they're not going to launch themselves. Bye.
You might look at a bird's nest and think, okay, it's just some stack of sticks. What's so special about that? Turns out, a whole bundle. Take a look.
Humans build some pretty creative homes, but let's be honest, birds have us beat by a long shot. Our apartments, houses, trailers, and tents are nothing compared to what these creatures make with just their beaks, feet, and a few materials that might surprise you. Hi, I'm Esther. I think nature is awesome, and I want to tell you all about it. So we're gonna learn about how birds make their amazing nests on today's Nature Side Quest. Okay, so to call a nest a home isn't exactly accurate. Most birds don't live in their nests all year round. Many species only build nests in the springtime to lay eggs and raise their young. Birds don't typically reuse their nest, but there are some exceptions, some pretty big ones. Large birds like hawks, herons, and eagles often return to their nests year after year, adding to the structure and reinforcing it with each new set of babies. These guys also build the largest nests in the bird world, with the record going to a pair of bald eagles in Florida. They built a nest that weighed over 4,000 pounds, measuring more than 9 feet wide and 20 feet deep. If I put that much work into a nest, I would probably reuse it too. Researchers think that nest building is both instinctual and a learned behavior. They know that older birds can build faster and better nests than younger birds. Since there isn't exactly a nest building school, birds have to learn on the fly, perfecting their skills with each new structure. But weaver birds take things to a completely different level. I mean, look at this. One reason weavers can build incredible structures is that they can do something that no other bird can do: tie knots. They snip blades of grass and tie them around a branch to start their project. It can take over 1,000 blades to make a single nest. Nest building is an important process for male weavers because this is how females select a mate. Birds are masters of using available materials to build a wide range of nests. There are way too many to explore, but here are a few that I have to tell you about. There's the hummingbird that builds teeny tiny camouflage nests. These can be made of things like cat's tails and spiders' webs, and as tiny as they are, they can withstand harsh wind. Mud swallows build their nests on the side of cliffs by carrying, well, mud up to their perch. Atlantic puffins dig a little burrow into the rocky cliff sides for protection. And then there's white nest swiftlets. They use their saliva to build nests that they attach to cave walls. But some birds don't build nests at all, like the cuckoo or the brown-headed cowbird, who just lay their eggs in the nests of other birds. It's a trait known as parasitic brooding. But that's a side quest for a different time. That's all for now. I'll see you on our next Nature Side Quest.
We humans are omnivores. That means we can eat meat, plants, and whatever they make boba out of. That stuff is delicious. But with millions of things on Earth's menu, 75% of the calories we humans eat comes from just 5 types of animals and only 12 types of plants. And that might be dangerous. So put down that snack and come huddle up while I spill the stem tea. There are over 50,000 edible plant species on Earth, but humans primarily eat just a dozen. And actually, about 50% of the calories humans eat comes from just 3 crops: rice, corn, and wheat. Shout out to my cereal grains for keeping us fed. I really liked your work and, cereal. The other big plants are sugarcane, soybeans, potatoes, palm oil, and cassava. There's also sorghum, millet, ground nuts, and sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes, when you crave potatoes, but sweet. When it comes to animals, humans consume most of our calories from chickens, pigs, cows, buffalo, and the greatest of all time, goat. Just those plants and animals make up 3/4 of our diet, which makes it easier for things like supply chains. But there are some big downsides as well. First, it's not great for our health. The top 4 plants, corn, wheat, rice, and sugarcane, are low in protein and high in carbohydrates. They're also often heavily processed, which can remove things like fiber and nutrients. It's also not great for the health of our farmland. Planting the same crop on the same land over and over can deplete the nutrients in the soil. Over time, plants on these farms will need more and more fertilizers and pesticides, both of which have serious effects on the farms themselves and on the surrounding environment. Growing our food like this puts the health of our food supply in danger. We've invested a lot of energy maximizing the efficiency and yields of certain crops, which helps feed our always growing population. And just like shrinking biodiversity is bad for our overall environment, shrinking biodiversity in our agriculture has big risks. Because when you rely on a single crop for food, you're in big trouble if that crop develops a disease. Up until the 1950s, the main banana we grew was a different variety called Gros Michel. Oh, sorry, it's French. I meant Gros Michel. The Gros Michel banana was bigger and sweeter, but a fungal infection known as Panama disease wiped out banana plantations around the world. The resistant Cavendish banana was grown as a replacement, but guess what? Panama disease is back, and it has evolved, hitting banana plantations in South America and Africa. Even with all of modern science, we might be facing another banana blight. Between 1900 and 2000, 75% of the world's crop varieties have disappeared. And these aren't obscure fruits and veggies. We're talking different species of coffees, grapes, cows, gone forever. So what can we do? It may sound simplistic, but a solution to growing too few types of foods is to grow more types of foods. A wider variety of crops would help insulate our food supply from environmental problems or disease, maintain soil nutrients, and reduce the need for fertilizers and pesticides. There's so many great foods and crops to try, and by expanding our palate, we may help change the world. We want to tell you about every part of the brain, but today we only have time for one. Sorry, cerebellum fans. Maybe next week. Erica has the story.
Picture the human brain, all 3 pounds of it. The nooks, the cranny. There's plenty we don't really understand about the marvelous organ. So I traveled to the Children's National Medical Center in Washington, D.C. to meet with neuroscientist Dr. Latasia Jones.
So what is neuroscience?
So neuroscience is the study of the brain, understanding everything that is involved in the brain development and how things are processing within the brain to do anything from making you move to making you think and making you learn.
Do you study like the whole brain?
Oh no, in particular, I'm looking at the corpus callosum, which is a part of the brain necessary for some learning, some understanding, social behavior, and so on. It's in the middle of the brain, and it's responsible for transfer of information from one lobe to the other.
The corpus callosum is made up of 200 million neurons, which are specialized cells that transmit electrical impulses. These impulses are responsible for the transmission of information, so each thought you have starts as an electrical impulse. The corpus callosum is the bridge between the math-obsessed left side and the art-based right. Basically, I couldn't do my color by numbers without it. By studying healthy brains, Dr. Jones will learn more about how the two sides of the brain communicate. This will help her devise treatments for people with seizures, cognitive defects, and even autism, which are partially caused by improperly functioning corpus callosums. Latasia explains how she studies the way the corpus callosum works. First, she collects protein from DNA cells and then extracts GFP, which stands for green fluorescent protein. She then injects the GFP into the brain, where it travels to the corpus callosum via neurons. The GFP will glow green under the microscope, simulating the electrical impulses of the brain. The idea here is to see how much of the green protein is absorbed by the nerves and how, or if, it spreads across them, allowing Dr. Jones to see how it moves throughout either a functioning or impaired corpus callosum.
Here, I'll give you the close shot. Here's some pictures of the neurons lighting up from the green fluorescent protein that I placed and injected within the neurons.
What?
So as you can see, the soma is that big, almost circular or triangular region of the neuron, and then the rest of it is the processes. And you can see they extend. Some are longer than others, but this is what's responsible for the transfer of information.
Dr. Jones's work has the potential of helping thousands of people in the future. So while I have access to a world-renowned neuroscientist, I have one last question.
Why do zombies like brains?
Erica, you really believe in zombies?
No. Welcome back. Before we go, we have one last thing.
My one piece of advice is to never give up. One of my favorite quotes is, "Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of every success story," and I truly do believe that.
Run toward your passion and don't look back. Do not allow challenges and issues that come about to defeat you, because the more you try, even if you fall and you bring yourself back up, eventually you're getting closer and closer to achieving the goals that you want to get to.
That's it for this week's Mission Unstoppable. Sorry we didn't get that earthquake expert. She had to cancel, but it wasn't her fault. Bye. If you're watching this, you must have really liked the video. Make sure you follow and subscribe, and check out these other videos that are even better. No, really. I've seen this one over 100 times.